B. Miller, how are you? And I assume, where are you? I assume you're at your house, right?
Yes, I'm home. I'm in my apartment in LA. I'm good. I just dropped a song last night, so I'm feeling a little, a little funky from last night, but I'm doing well.
If we were talking off air, I haven't seen you since I recall the last time you came into the studio, or one of the last times, we were having a discussion about your Coachella dilemma. And I don't remember what it was, but it was something about, does your friend drive, or do you stay in this one place, or do you split I don't even know what
It
it
was
was, but who knows?
There's always every year there's always some drama. Every time my friends and I try to get together and do really anything, honestly, we could be trying to make dinner plans and like I might have to call you and be like, I don't like there's an issue, like you gotta choose tacos or pizza. But I don't remember what it was either because
Who
I'm sure
knows?
we had a lot of issues last year.
Well,
But
we got more issues in 2020, so maybe that was a good thing back then,
yeah,
right? All
yeah.
right. B. Miller is hanging out. Let me get specific. How has quarantine life, how has 2020 treated you? I assume you got to be, of all people, just stir crazy.
Yeah, I was not doing well for a while because I live alone, so there wasn't really much going on, obviously. And without my dog, I don't know what I would have done. I would have started talking to walls. Like I seriously was starting to lose it after a couple months because I was following all the rules very, very, very strictly for quite a few months, and then eventually I was like, I need to see people or I will lose my mind. And so eventually I found like two of my friends who both agreed to like kind of really we just see each other and none of us live with anybody who's older or at risk or anything. So eventually I found like two or three people that I felt comfortable where I was like, and I got tested and they got tested and now we see each other every once in a while. But before then it was not good.
I know the feeling, man. So you have your quarantine bubble, so to speak.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel like before we thought it was going to be a whole year, I was like, oh, I just won't see anybody. But now, eventually, I reached a point where I was like, I can't be alone for 12 months. People are not meant to live that way. I was like, I got to figure it out.
B, of course, going to play "Feel Something" later on in the countdown, but you got several tracks floating. Wisdom Teeth is out. You got an EP that's coming out. Tell me everything. What do people need to know? What are you working on?
Yeah, I dropped my song "Wisdom Teeth" last night. That's the first song that I've released in over a year. I'm very excited because I also released a music video that me and my girl Gina, who's like my amazing photographer, director, creative director, everything. Like she's my everything. Um, we made the video in my apartment, like literally right behind me. We just set up a black screen and we shot this entire music video during quarantine because we were trying to be safe and she was wearing a mask and we were trying to stay far away from each other and just like minimize the amount of people that has to work on a video. So it was literally just her and I and Jams, who you were talking to earlier on my management team. And the three of us just kind of made it happen. And yeah, it was really strange, but I think it came out really cool and I'm excited about the song and I've like been sitting on the song for a really long time and I have an EP coming out later in the month and that will have another 6 new songs on it. So I'm very excited. I feel like I've been kind of working on things behind the scenes throughout all of quarantine, which has been going slower than it probably should, obviously. But now it's happening. Now it's moving.
Let me ask about I think this 2020 video process, the way videos are shot in 2020. I mean, is this going to go into the future, you think? Because I think we've solved video budget problems. I mean, you shot that video for probably $4. I mean,
Yeah.
your iPhone, your homie holding it up in the living room. I mean, that's, it's a $4 budget you just made a video on, B, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looks great.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I mean, obviously, it takes a lot more effort for each individual person when there are only a couple people doing, something like that without really any other help. I had to like do my own hair and makeup and wardrobe, and like, Gina was obviously having to shoot everything by herself and do the lighting and all this stuff. So it's definitely a more tedious process with less people, but if it can be done and it still looks cool, I'm like, but that also kind of stresses me out because I'm like the amount of people who have jobs that they need to make these videos happen or like the way that we used to do them. It's like I don't want those people to not have jobs. So I'm like, maybe we should go back the other way. But also it's so expensive and like ridiculous to have like 30 to 40 people walking around to make a music video every time. So I don't know. I personally like the way that we made this music video. And it was easier for me, like it was socially easier for me. I didn't have to like talk to so many people in one day. I'm
You said
socially anxious, so I just like, but I don't know. I'm like torn between, I do think that it is easier to do some things that we figured out during quarantine with less people, but at the same time, I'm not trying to put anybody out of a job. So I don't know.
got it. Well, we're learning a lot for sure in 2020. It's such a bizarre year, but yeah, B Miller, look out for EP, singles, music. She's been busy despite all this craziness. Be true or false? I think you made this statement. You wish you could have been a rock star in the 70s and not had to worry about, Twitter and Instagram and all that. If you said that, what is, yeah, walk me through that.
I have said that. Sometimes, first of all, I think that my voice would be better suited for that if I could figure out how to. But honestly, after Miley Cyrus did Heart of Glass, I was like, maybe not. That's her thing. Like, I can't sing like that. But that's definitely like the style of music that like I grew up listening to the most. Like late '60s, early '70s rock and roll, and I always just thought that would be such a fun time to be alive and making music and just like
Right.
really crazy. Like there are no like there are like pop stars now. There aren't really like rock stars who just like live the rock and roll life. I don't know. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like people do, but like they don't. And I think that'd be really cool. But also, yeah, the social media thing, it would be cool to like be able to just make music and have my whole, career and artistry just be about my music, and like my performances, and have people pay attention to me because they actually like my music and think what I'm doing is cool, and not because, I'm reaching enough Twitter accounts. It's like weird that sometimes like I'm like being like, I'm going to do something, whatever. And they're like, oh, how many followers do you have? Or, blah, blah. And it's just very weird. But at the same time, I do love being able to connect with all my fans across the world literally at the click of a button. So it's like, I'm torn, but sometimes I'm like, it would be kind of sick to just make music and not have to worry about tweeting out, the right thing at the right time or posting the right photo at the right time to get people to care about what I'm doing.
I think I saw your dog walk by. I saw your dog's reflection in the glass behind you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You want me to get him?
yeah, I want to see this dog. Hang on a
Ollie,
second.
come here. Oh, here it comes. I hear
Oh,
him.
goodness.
Come
Sneak peek of the
here.
dog in the middle of the iHeartRadio countdown. Check the video.
There he is.
Oh, my gosh.
He's a stunner. This is Ollie Bear.
Oh, my God. Ollie Bear is hanging out. B Miller is here. I think you posted, before Feel Something, you posted when you accidentally predicted 2020 with the song you wrote in 2019. Because Feel Something has it's taken a life of its own in a weird path. What does that mean?
Well, I was new to TikTok, and I was being instructed by my team to post TikToks and by my entire fan base because obviously Feel Something was doing really well on there, which is why it's having the success it is now. And they were like, you have to get on TikTok to like boost the song. But I had never been on TikTok, so I didn't know what I was doing. But after scrolling through for a few days, I was like, okay, I think I get the gist. I have to just make something simple and like, quirky and funny and like just maybe even kind of stupid. That was like the general gist I got from like the most popular videos I was seeing on TikTok. So yeah, I was like, what is something really simple? And there's one like where you have the lights flashing behind you and you just kind of sit there and you write one thing. So that I was like, that'll be easy. So I did a couple takes of that, which is ridiculous. I wasn't even doing anything, but I did multiple takes of this stupid TikTok. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it to get like 5 million views. It has like 3 million likes. I was like, this is I was pretty proud of myself. But basically, yeah, I wrote Feel Something like a year and a half or 2 years ago now, and released it earlier in the year last year, when I was going through a period of time where I was not really connecting with the things around me, but I thought that it would just get better and that, life would move on and I would do other things and I would get back in the groove of it. And then a pandemic struck, and now nobody is connecting with anyone or doing anything, and we all are kind of feeling a lack of feeling. So I think that's why it is doing well now, which I hate. I hate that I'm having this success because everything is falling apart. That makes me feel like, I don't know if I can curse on here, but it doesn't make me feel good about myself. So
in a way, you did.
But I'm also grateful. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's silver lining in the cloud, but you did kind of predict it in a way, sort of,
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
mean, the TikTok, I wasn't actually like, yeah, I was sitting around my crystal ball and I predicted that this was gonna happen. I didn't tell any of you. Like,
Oh man.
yeah, I definitely think that the lyrics of the song are much more relatable universally now than they were at the time that I released the song.
B, dumb question. I know the answer to this. Good Lord, you of all people, you must be so anxious to tour. I mean, to my understanding, you love life on the road. How much do you miss it?
Oh, we actually did a save. We all did get tested. We all were wearing masks except for me because I was singing, but I was tested. Everything was fine. But recently did a little show where I had to actually get on stage in an empty venue and do a performance. And I started crying. I got really, really upset halfway through the performance because, I mean, not even as a performer, like even as a fan, I really miss live music,
Right.
And it didn't really hit me until I was on a stage with my band doing a performance to nobody in the same size venue that I was performing at all year last year. It didn't hit me until then. I mean, I've known that I missed doing it, but it really struck me when I was standing there and I was, having to talk in between each song to nobody. And like my fans weren't there and I couldn't like reach out and touch them and like see them. And like I don't know, like music is about togetherness. I think like live music is about togetherness more than anything. And, connecting with people over like a common interest. And I don't know, not having that is really, really upsetting. I just miss people, I think overall that's a lot of us are facing that. It's like I miss people. For a while I felt like, oh, I can just chill in my apartment. This is fine.
Not so much anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's like music. Like I miss people of music. I miss performing live music to my fans, but I miss people in general. I miss like walking down the sidewalk and like smiling at people walking by. It's like now I do that, I have a mask on. They don't know what I'm doing under there. And just like, I don't know, seeing people like at restaurants and just enjoying their life all around you. I just miss people being around. But yeah, it was really,
100%.
really upsetting to perform to an empty venue.
That's got to be an odd sensation for sure. Are you guys having discussions for a 2021 or beyond tour, or is it just sort of just staying away from that for the moment? The
No,
sad look across her face.
I know, it's so sad. We're not talking about that. I'm obviously releasing a lot of new music this month. And it's like, I can't even go sing it to people, which really, really sucks. But yeah, we're not talking, we don't know. Like, I don't know if people who don't make music realize that even people in the music industry who are performers have no idea when we're going to be allowed to do that again. I have no clue. So we're not even talking about it. It's like, it could go as far as to say like the entirety of next year, we won't be able to do our performances either. We just have to kind of see what happens.
I think, yeah, safe to say we are all of us just winging it, man, for real.
Yeah.
B Miller is hanging out. B, true or false? You always wanted to be an astronaut, but you got to be 5'2" to be an astronaut, according to the story that I read. And you're 5'1", which I think that's jacked up for starters. But is that true?
Yes, that is true. And this is kind of an embarrassing story because obviously I could never actually be an astronaut. I don't have the intelligence or the drive or the education or the mental tools. But when I found out when I was maybe I was in like 7th grade, I found out that in order to go, like I was saying something about, oh, like I want to be an astronaut, but that's unrealistic. And my friends were like, no, B, if you want to do it, you can do it. Like, let's figure it out. Let's go to NASA's website and like figure out what you need to do to become an astronaut. Like, you're gonna do it. Like, even if it takes 30 years. And I was like, okay, yeah. And they were reading and their faces just dropped. And they were like, within the first paragraph, it says you have to be 5'1" to go to space. And I mean 5'2" to go to space. And I was like, and I literally started crying. Like I actually started crying because I was like, I'm 1 inch too short and now I'll never be able to go to space. And like, what was I crying for? There's no possible chance that even if I was 5'2", I would ever be an astronaut. But I was devastated. I was gutted by this news.
That is
and I felt like they were discriminating against short people. I was really upset. I guess maybe I can't be rocketed off it. But if they sent a monkey, they could send me.
Why do you
Yeah.
gotta be 5'2" is my, I don't know. What's the
I
five?
don't know. There are no astronauts shorter than 5'2". I don't know why.
Can't they? I mean, if it's if it's like the height of the chair, like crank the chair up a little bit. I mean, what
Yeah,
the heck, right?
you would think, but
Would think, but
apparently not. Maybe NASA has updated their website since then, because this was quite a few years ago. But yeah, I was pretty excited about that. I genuinely really wanted to be an astronaut, so I themed a lot of my tours and stuff last year around like outer space because I wanted to pretend that I was I had someone make me a spacesuit that I could wear on stage.
love it. B, feel something. Let's play this track and let me just kind of run down this song has taken a weird path. I mean, tell me what I got right here. You released this track in 2019. It ran its course, did its thing like every song does. And then Eastern Europe, Russia, somewhere over there, they released a different version of it on TikTok, which started a chain of events, which everything went crazy. And now here we are back in 2020. The song is back up again. What is that? Does that sound about right? And yeah,
Yeah.
talk about this Feel Something track.
Yeah. I really had no idea that this would happen. Because like you said, you know, you release a song and it runs its course, and then for the most part, it does gain streams still for the rest of its lifetime, but not really the same way that you see a song perform right when you release it. So I was kind of like, okay, like it already peaked, and you know, now it's just kind of falling back down. Um, and I was also really concerned. I was like, what am I going to do with my life during quarantine? Like, how do I connect with people? How do I make music? And then, you know, I got really lucky and this song just started blowing up on TikTok. But it was actually, like you said, a slowed down version of my song, which now sometimes I listen to the regular version that I made and I'm like, it's too fast. I'm like, this is so weird. Or I'm expecting a stranger to come in because they mashed my song with that Labyrinth song from Euphoria. But that's another thing is my song became known as a Euphoria song, and I was like, it wasn't in Euphoria, but I wish it was. But yeah, I was, yeah, like I said before, also just being yelled at by my fans, like, you have to go on TikTok, like you're actually blowing up on there. And I thought that they were exaggerating. I was like, okay, maybe 5 or 6 people that you saw made it, you know, made a TikTok with my song. Turned out to be hundreds of thousands of people. A ridiculous amount of people were using the song. And then yeah, eventually I was like, I guess this is a thing now. And then I started seeing it translate into streams, and my streams are going way up. I think the song has gotten like 60,000, 70,000 news, or I mean 70 million, 60 million, 70 million new streams in like a few months, which is like ridiculous for
That's
me. Like,
nuts.
who am I? And I just released a song last year, and now all of a sudden it's doing really well. So thanks TikTok, I guess. But that is exactly what happened.
2-part question. Biggest crowd you've ever performed for? And the complete flip of that, have you ever been booed?
Ooh. I would say, I mean, I've never been booed, but I would say that at some of the shows that I did that were the biggest ones I ever performed at, I could tell that people didn't really care that I was there.
What?
Um, um, Being an opener can be really brutal, because you just constantly feel like nobody actually wants to see you, and like you're just kind of passing the time while people get their drinks and their, you know, snacks and whatever before they see the person they actually came for, or at least that's how I used to feel. And I opened a couple of years ago for some like arena tours, and I was briefly touring with Selena Gomez, which was really crazy. And I was so honored and so excited. And I used to love Selena when I was younger, and she's just so like beautiful. And like I couldn't believe I was going to be in her presence. And she was really, really nice, and a lot of her fans were really, really nice. But sometimes I would get on stage and like they weren't mean to me, they weren't booing me, they were very respectful, but they didn't know my song, so they were just kind of standing there like,
hey.
like yeah, just stone face, like we don't
Wow.
know you, we don't know what's happening right now. And yeah, but that was in like arena, so it was like 15,000 people every night, which was really insane. But also it's kind of, it feels almost like there's more people in a small venue than in a venue of that size, because in a venue of that size, the closest people to you are like, I don't know, 40 feet away, if not more, and like barricaded off. And the stage is really, really high and you can't really see them. And it feels sometimes like there's nobody there, especially when you have your in-ears in, that you kind of like create this fishbowl where you can't like hear or see anybody. It's very, very strange. And I was very, very grateful to have had that opportunity, but I just kind of felt like, not like nobody was mean, nobody booed me, but like to all the Selenators, I'm like, no, like you weren't mean. I really loved you. But I just felt guilty almost for being there. I was like, I'm so sorry. I know that you just want to hear Selena. Like, so do I. So I have to just like get off. I have to just do this quick, just get off stage.
I bet you made some fans while you were there for sure, that's the tough. It's easier said than done to win some fans over of somebody else. That's the tough part about being an opener. And I've heard some crazy stories, B, but yeah, B Miller is hanging out. You've met a lot of people, worked with a lot of people. Have you ever been starstruck? You brought up Selena Gomez. Maybe that's a good answer there. Or, Jonas, you toured with the Jonas Brothers and written with, Joe, I think it was, or Nick. Yeah. Have you been starstruck?
I have, but actually not by a musical artist as much as Winona Ryder. I met Winona Ryder, who is one of my favorite actresses of all time, the queen of spooky. And I was so starstruck. I like forgot how to speak words. Like and yeah, at the time I was with my friend whose dad, is really high up with Netflix. And so that was kind of how I got the intro. And he brought me over and introduced me to her. And I was like, no, like you can't, like, I don't want to speak to her. I'm so scared. And he brought me over to say hi. And of course she was so nice. And I should not have been afraid to speak to her. And he was messing with me, my friend's dad. And he was like, you got to tell her what you named your car. And I was like, no, wait, don't bring that up. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? And I was like, I named my first car Winona Ryder because I ride her, but also I love you. And I was like, and my friend's dad, of course, is cracking up. Like, this is the funniest thing ever. And she was really nice and she laughed and she told me what she named her first car. And she was super sweet. And I think also she said that her boyfriends, who I also met, her boyfriend's mom's name was also Beatrice. So like that was a weird connect we had. And it was just, but I was dying. Like, she is one of my favorite actresses of all time. And
you told Winona Ryder you named your car Winona Ryder. That is hilarious.
When I used to pull up people's houses, like when I used to drive to pick up my friends, I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm outside. I'd be like, hey, me and Winona are here. And like my friends and I, like, we all heavily referred to my first car, which was a Corolla, as Winona. I shed a few tears when Winona, my car, was returned.
You guys, B Miller's hanging out. Winona Ryder, if you hear this, what's up? Is your car still named? Like, is your new car named
My
Winona
new car
Part
is
2?
Mini Driver.
Mini Driver. Oh, okay, there we go. I think you know this about me. If not, let me just tell you now. I'm obsessed with the paranormal, ghost, UFOs, all that stuff. I've got a podcast called Paranormalish. My mom used to take us on picnics to graveyards, me and my sister, which was weird. Maybe that's why I'm into this. Who knows? You told me briefly before we started the countdown of an odd, maybe it was a paranormal encounter. Well, it seems like something happened. Although, yeah, explain, please.
A lot of my friends think that I was imagining something. When I tell them this story, they're like, no. A lot of friends who don't believe in ghosts. But when I was younger, in my childhood bedroom, I had 3 windows on the opposite wall of my bed, and my bed was next to the door, like the entrance to my room. And when I was younger, a lot of times, like, I would kind of put the covers over my head and like sit under with my phone and watch movies with my headphones in until I was tired. And also in the summer, it would get really, really hot. And I would turn on the air conditioner so I could fall asleep. And, we didn't have a lot of money. So my mom would always come and turn it off before I, went to bed. So we weren't wasting the energy on it. And I was used to, like, every night she would come up and she would turn off my AC. And one night I remember her, like, I was under the covers. I didn't know if she could see me or if she knew I was awake, but I was like under there watching, but I couldn't see my windows where my AC was because my knees were blocking.
Gotcha.
And the door like opened a little bit because like I saw like the light change, like when the door opened, and then my mom walked past me and I was like, oh, she's here to turn off the AC. I remember thinking that. It was so clear to me that she was walking past me that I had the thought of like, oh, she's just here to turn off the AC. And then after like a minute or so, when she didn't walk back and leave, I was like, what is she doing? Is she just standing there staring at me? Is she talking to me? I had my earphones in, so like I didn't know. And I took them out and I was like, what? And then no response. So I like moved my knees and I like look at my windows and there's nobody there. And I was like, I actually had to like get up and I went and slept in my parents' room that night because I was really, really scared.
Wow.
Because I truly, like, I truly felt a figure walk past me. It was so real that I didn't even think twice about it. Because I was like, oh, it's just my mom here to turn off my AC. It was that real that somebody walked past me. But all my friends were always like, oh, B, like, you were young, you don't remember the story, right? And I'm like, no, that happened. I would not forget that happening.
Did your house have a history to it, or what, is there any kind of backstory to the house? Somebody living there before you guys? Anything weird?
I don't know. I never even asked because I was so young when we moved out of the house, and I think I was kind of scared. Now I'm like, oh hell yeah! Like if a ghost wants to come talk to me, like that's fine. But yeah, that's something I never asked. But I do know that our house was like 100 years old, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there were some spirits in there, but
maybe something was up.
That was the only paranormal experience I ever had.
B, Harry Styles gave you advice. He said, I believe, never read anything about yourself. How was that chat with Harry? And have you taken his advice?
I actually think I have. I didn't at the time because I was much younger and I was new to, the experience of having people like comment about what you're doing that you don't even know. But I still look through my Twitter, obviously, because I want to talk to my fans. But I've learned, when I was younger, I was very aggressive and I used to respond to all my haters, and I don't do that anymore. But I don't go through my YouTube comments because that was the biggest one for me, where I would find things that I didn't want to see, that didn't make me feel good about myself. So to this day, I don't. So I think in some ways I kind of took that advice. Eventually, I realized that he was right. Obviously, how could Harry Styles be wrong about it?
I mean, how can he,
But yeah, that was one of the crazier moments of my life, especially because I was 13 at the time. So like that was it. To meet Harry Styles when you were like, in like 2012, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is everything. I mean, now, of course, I would still lose my mind. But at the time, like One Direction was like bigger than anything in the world. So I was very, very excited. And not expecting him to want to speak to me.
Where were you at when it happened? Backstage at a show or at a
I was on X Factor briefly when I was younger, which is, I try not to bring that up because I'm like, that has nothing to do with my career now. But he also, I guess, like, I think One Direction, that's how they, were put together, was on X Factor UK. And so when I was there, they came backstage for our season because I think they performed at some point. So they came backstage and like, the crew wanted to film, everyone beating One Direction, whatever. But yeah, that was when I met all of them actually. And they were all very, very nice. But Harry told me that I was his favorite of the season, so I thought that was pretty cool.
I consider that's a win for sure. B Miller is hanging out, you guys. B, your fan base they're crazy in the best way possible. Craziest thing a fan has done to meet you?
Ooh, I honestly don't know. I've been pretty lucky in terms of like nobody has tried to like barricade down my door in my hotel room or something. Like I feel like nobody's ever, gone to great lengths to meet me in a way that like I was concerned for anybody's safety, my safety, their safety.
That's a good thing, I guess.
Which is great. Yeah, I'm like, let's keep it going that way. But I definitely have met a lot of fans. This is like not a very exciting answer probably for, anyone listening, but it's exciting for me. But I've definitely met a lot of fans who have traveled, thousands and thousands of miles to come to one of my shows. Because for the longest time, I didn't really do anything international. I didn't really leave the United States when I was performing. And still now I've only really done shows in Canada and, Europe and the UK. I used to have a lot of fans that I'm sure I still would if I could still perform. But I used to have a lot of fans that would tell me that they came all the way from, across the world, essentially, just to be there for my show. And that, to me, I would say, is when I think about the amount of money and time and energy that they spent on getting, and how jet lagged they probably were the whole show, I'm like, that, to me, is a pretty crazy thing to do. Just to
That's nuts.
meet
Think it,
me. So
they
they'll
had to
come to
take,
my meet and greets and be like, I came from 3,000 miles away.
and they had to take off work, and they had to, you know, schedule the vacation, like you said, and flights. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
Seriously. B Miller is hanging out. What has 2020 taught you?
Hmm. I think 2020 has taught me to stop always putting off seeing people. I feel like I would purposely not make plans in the past because I until last minute, because I wasn't sure if I'd want to stick to the plan or if I'd want to just stay home and like watch TV on my couch. And usually that's the option that I chose. And I'd be like, oh, I'll just see them later. I'll just see them next time. I'll just, and sometimes next time doesn't come because you all have to stay in your houses for a year and you can't see each other. And I think, I am a very I'm an extroverted introvert where with people I like and, in moments where I have to be on, I can do it. And when I'm with people I feel comfortable with, I can, I'm very extroverted and very loud, but I also don't really like to be with strangers, and I feel like anxious, and I like to kind of sit in my own space, and sometimes I just don't feel like talking to anybody and I just want to be by myself. That actually happens more times than not. But I think that this year has taught me that, I shouldn't take for granted being able to spend time with people and being able to be close to people without wearing a mask, and just enjoying their company. And that sometimes being alone actually isn't as great as I used to think it was. I don't know. It's I think that maybe isn't a super important thing for a lot of people, but for me, as somebody who used to pick hanging out with me over hanging out with other people, I think that's been pretty important for me.
B, recap Feel Something. Of course, it is out. Feel Something, the remix, which is Feel Something Different. That's out. Wisdom Teeth is out. EP, look out for that. What am I forgetting, B?
Yeah, I think you really nailed it there. I wish that we could follow it up with tour soon, but what can we do? But yeah, that's what's going on. I've a lot of things in the works right now. We got some videos and songs and just everything's flying left and right. So yeah, I'm not trying to sleep on 2020 anymore. So don't sleep
Amen.
on me.
B, I can't wait to see you in person. You're so much fun. Thank you for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours, I should say. And yeah, 2021 or whenever, we're connecting, we're hanging out, we're getting drinks, we're living life. And
yeah, I'm 21 now, so let's get it.
Let's do it. B, at the end of every countdown, fist bump to make it official. Tap that cam.
Oh.